Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collingwood for YouTube, Resident _of Collingwood for BitChute. And today, I'm here to talk about will they ever remake Jaws? Not should they, because if we get into should they, then no. Jaws should just never be remade. Will they ever remake Jaws? I don't think in my lifetime, no. What I mean by that is it's weird because you would think they would, and I think a lot of the reasons they don't is Jaws did something long before Halloween and anything else. Jaws gave fear to the audience, not just inside the theater but outside of it. When you look at Jaws as a whole, as a film, it inspired literal fear from people going into the ocean. I mean, when people went to go see Jaws, unless you were actually studying sharks, you knew next to nothing about an actual shark. You know, Jaws was made in the 70s. It was made in a time when people weren't researching the shit out of sharks, really. In fact, sharks themselves did not become researched until after the sinking of the USS Indianapolis, which was in the 40s. So, Jaws rolls around in the 70s in this theater, and here they used a great white as the antagonist. And what other shark would you use as the antagonist? It was something that had never been done before in the history of cinema. And that's what Jaws was. It was literal history. I mean, go look at a lot of the shark movies that went in the theaters, and especially a lot of the shark movies that went onto television. Most of them, I'd say 90%, the antagonist is who? The great white shark. And for good reason, because it's the most known fierce predator in the ocean. It's it's easy to picture it as the antagonist. But what Jaws also did was, with that panic, it created the killing of the sharks and the hunting of them. I think, there's a lot of fear into remaking Jaws, and I get, and, it's not just about Jaws being a cinema masterpiece. I mean, let's be honest. What made Jaws work before we get into the outside of it? The shark rarely worked. Richard Dreyfuss, all of them have touched upon this. That you know, literally that they were on. The shark is working now. So that's what made Jaws so great too. Not just the acting. The shark rarely worked, so you rarely saw it. And that's what makes Jaws so beautiful. It's for all its greatness. It's the little things that they messed up on that they couldn't do with the shark that made that movie great. If you made Jaws today, would it be as good? I think you can't make Jaws the exact way, but before I get into that, I think a lot of moviegoers look at it and say, do we want to create the world spread fear of a great white shark all over again? And could we even do that nowadays? I think, look, Jaws, for all its glory, is the very reason the great white shark became very hunted by predators and shark hunters, and people were hunting them for their fins, and that's just cruel, and that's not something you want to stir back up again. And I think that's another pause for moviegoers. I'm not saying it is for certain, but I think it is in their minds. Another thing too is, not just Jaws the sequels. I don't want people to think that I'm picking on the Jaws sequels. I'm not. It's not just the Jaws sequels. Sci-Fi, who's actually owned by Universal, because USA is their they're a sister company to USA Network, a sister network, I should say. They really did something to me that was really curious. They had, in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, they had begun making shark movies left and right, left and right. Literally making made-for-TV shark movies, almost like the Hallmark Channel makes made-for-TV movies, except for these weren't love stories.
Christmas movies.
Yeah, these weren't These weren't Christmas movies. Well, actually, there was a Santa Jaws, right? I like how you just said that. Yeah, but and that's the thing. Sci-fi even made like a couple Megalodon movies. I can't think of how many. I want to say 3 at the most. And when they announced a movie about the Meg coming to theaters, I was sort of shocked that Hollywood would try it, because it's like, wait, Sci-Fi Channel sort of has already done something like this. And when I saw the movie Meg, I was really impressed with what they did with Steve Alton's book. But that being said, what was different with the Meg is they used the Megalodon. They used a prehistoric shark as the antagonist. The great white was not the antagonist. So, and there's the movie called The Shallows that was good. They did use a great white as the antagonist. It was very suspenseful. Yes, they did use CGI, which, if they did Jaws today, would I want them to use CGI? No, I would not. And I know people are going to laugh at that. To me, if you're going to make Jaws, the best thing you could do with Jaws is not set it in modern day times, is preset Jaws. Preset it the 1970s. Set it in, actually tell the Matawan Lake story how, in a fictional sense, the literal terror of what people were doing, of what people were experiencing and seeing because of a rogue, white shark going up and down the Atlantic coast. I think if you told that story actually in Jaws, now they do mention that in the original, they mention Matawan Lake in Jaws, which which isn't shocking, because the Matawan Lake inspired the book, Peter Benchley's book, Jaws. So it's not, it wouldn't be far-fetched for them to do. Could they do that? Yes, they could. Should they use CGI? I think no. I know CGI would be preferenced in a shark movie, but I recently saw something that really bothered me. Somebody on YouTube, I forget who, did a side-by-side, shot-for-shot comparison of how Jaws would look. It was Jaws for the Revenge, and I've seen that movie, of how Jaws would look like normal, like how they did it back then, and how it would look in CGI. And when you go watch The Shallows, you notice when the shark is chasing, the shark smiles. It's so hard not to do with CGI. Like, the CGI effects can only do so much with the mouth. So they have the shark smile like it's enjoying what it's doing. And I just think that's such a detriment to the shark itself. It ruins it for me. So when I watch that, I'm thinking, man, if they ever remade Jaws, I would not want them to do CGI, at least close up. There's parts in The Shallows where the CGI works, but in the final sequence, when you notice the mouth and this shark is smiling, I'm thinking, man, that really takes away from the fear of this, because it's not a real shark. And not saying you should know it's a real shark, but you should have that suspension of disbelief. So I think that, could they find a happy medium between the two? Maybe. They probably could. I want Jaws remade? No, I don't. I think you should leave. Sometimes it's best to leave well enough alone. I mean, are you really going to have the same impact that the original did? Hell no. You might get the box office, but what Jaws did from a universal standpoint, no pun intended, was so impactful, not just to the audience, but to the actual real great white itself, because the great white became the most hunted shark in the waters. And that's something I wouldn't want repeated, and I don't think you should try to repeat it. So that's sort of my point of view of Jaws. Will it ever be remade? I hope not. I think if it does, it won't. I won't live to see it. I don't think it'll be remade in our lifetime. And some people, I think, have even said with the success of Meg, why not try Jaws? It's funny, they were hinting, it was a rumor, I guess somebody released, about they were thinking about it, and everybody threw their arms up in a fit. So they decide to announce the reboot of the thing instead. I mean, it's interesting because would I want Casablanca remade today? No, because I just think there's no remaking certain films. I just think there's no recapturing that kind of chemistry or story that you could pull off. And I think that's the same thing. It's not just the chemistry with Jaws, with the actors. It's what the movie did, not just, like I said, in theaters, but outside of it. It had one of the most hugest impacts, not just in theaters, but in actual real life. And I think that's something, it's so hard to do. And I don't think you'll ever do that with Jaws again. So, that being said, do I want Jaws remade? No, again. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.